Hello, everybody, and welcome to a rare episode of the Mandala Effect because we haven't been recording for a little while, but I'm really excited to have today's conversation. Everybody meet Joanna Kleinman. Have I said your last name right?
Yes, you did.
Amazing. Joanna is a renowned psychotherapist and the author of Dethroning Your Inner Critic, which I'm sure we all could learn how to do. And she's a mind magician. She helps people step into the authentic self and become the creator of their life. So, welcome, Joanna. I'm very, very excited to have you here. We had a conversation a few weeks ago on your podcast and we hit it off. And I think that we're going to have an amazing conversation today because also our expertise and lines of work sort of cross over a little bit, don't they? And what I call one thing, you call something else. So it'll be really interesting for our listeners.
I agree.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
It's my pleasure. I would love it if you could introduce yourself in your own words. You tell us who Joanna is.
Oh, that's a great question. I am 53 years old right now, and I started my um journey of self-growth and transformation essentially when I was 9. So that's in 1979. That's a really long time, right? I did a self-development program. My parents were into self-development. So
Wow.
yeah, so I did a self-development program for children. And then that really sort of um, had me step into a lifelong path of um, obviously not just my own personal growth and transformation, which, of course, we're all always on, right? We're always
Yeah.
evolving into the next version of ourselves. But it really carved my life path, my life journey, which is that um, I have that this is what I do is teach people how to unhook themselves from what I
Mm.
call your automatic mind
Yeah.
and to rewire a very different mind with different thoughts and different beliefs that have you tuning into different emotions and different choices and actions that have your life going in a fundamentally different way. It's turned into, a global movement, which is really exciting. I created a program where women come together to learn and grow together. And I'm now embarking on training other therapists and coaches and healers to use my work in their business as well. So it's just, it's amazing to be 53 and to now be able to look at the whole movie so far, like I think of our life as one big long movie. And when you're in the middle of the movie, you're like, how's this going to get resolved? How are the characters going to come together? What's going to
Yeah.
happen here? And to be able to witness all of the puzzle pieces,
Yeah.
including the struggles and the failures and the things that didn't go the way that I wanted them to. And now just to see how it all comes together to create what's next is very cool. So that's what I do for other people.
That's amazing. I'm so fascinated by so much of your journey, mostly by the fact that your parents put you through a self-development course at the age of 9. My first thought is, wow, you're so lucky.
I do feel very blessed. I do feel very blessed. Yeah.
When I
Yeah.
meet people who have come to the self-development space, in fact, I only know two people whose parents were into self-development. You're one of them. And to see how the journey does unfold is fascinating because the world needs people like your parents. It needs people like you. Most
Yes.
people fall into this through a more traumatic experience or more, it's which was my experience, but I think that the more people now that you're helping, that I'm helping, that other coaches, healers, therapists are helping,
Yeah,
we're going to be bringing children up in a world of development and getting to know oneself.
that's
Um,
right.
that's
That's right.
just fascinating. Did you always know from a young age that this is where you'd end up?
Um, I I remember the moment, and I was 13, and I was actually in another, self-development program. And here's the thing. Of course, in my earlier years, like my adolescent years,
Mm,
I, there were definitely messages that I got from my journey of self-growth. But um, I think that I knew my life's path at 13, but I still had so much to learn
mm,
about what it really is to live a conscious life. I mean,
mhm.
right? So it's not like I do feel very blessed that I started this at a young age, but that doesn't mean that, oh, well, in my 20s, oh, I was, rocking and rolling and I
Yeah,
wasn't dealing with, self-doubt and fear and inadequacy and, all the stuff that everybody struggles with,
yeah,
you know? So, the thing that the thing that I believe is that we are as a in our world, I think that we're really starting to shift into a different awareness, There was when I was growing up, the word mindfulness wasn't in the, human vocabulary, there
yeah,
was meditation was for like wacko weirdos, Like things are shifting. I can
yeah.
feel that things are shifting. But I always say it's like there are two kinds of people in the world, right? There are people that are asleep and
Mm,
unconscious, and they actually run away
mm.
from anything that's going to touch their kind of automatic life.
Yeah.
And then there are people that, whatever age you are, that you're waking up to something else.
Mm,
And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if that happens to you at 9 or 25 or 55. It actually makes no difference, I've
yeah.
just I've been on this journey longer, and so um maybe I'm a few miles ahead of
Mm,
maybe some other people, but I'm still on the same journey.
yeah. The journey doesn't end.
Never.
Even if you reach whatever the um enlightenment will say, and every enlightened master has a different experience of enlightenment, they still speak to the journey. The journey is never ending.
Never. We're always stepping into the next version of
Yeah,
ourselves.
yeah,
Always. And, the other thing about this is that to step into that next version, very often what we have to do is go back into the pain.
yeah,
I think of it like a caterpillar turning into a butterfly, when
yeah.
a caterpillar, it has to dissolve into this disgusting, mucusy, soupy goo, right, before it emerges as
Mhm.
the caterpillar. And I think we are always going back into the goo
Yeah.
to become the next version of the caterpillar. I'm sorry, the next version of the butterfly. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. What do you think then holds people back the most on this journey?
Well, so this is where I think my approach differs from some other people,
Yeah,
because um, I believe that we're never getting rid of that old mind and that
yeah,
old self. And many people are on this journey with the expectation that they want to get rid of their self-doubt. They want to get rid of their fear. They want to get rid of their lack of confidence. They want to emerge as this person that just always feels good about themselves and their life, and they have the confidence to go and do the next thing. And I think that's the very thing that holds people back,
Yeah.
because I created this, it's called the MIND method. It's an acronym. It's a 4-step journey, right? But again, a never ending journey, but it's 4 steps to really recognize that the power is in being able to so clearly see the difference between what is your old automatic mind and your old automatic self and who you really are, that the moment that she grabs you by the throat, right? That's your inner critic self. The moment the old fear, the old doubt, the old, I don't have what it takes grabs you, you so clearly know what it is that you don't get sucked down the rabbit hole of buying into it. And when we are doing our most important work, when we are stepping outside of our comfort zone, our inner critic voice gets louder. It doesn't get quieter. And so that's what we need, is to be able to develop the muscle when it gets louder, to be able to look at our inner critic, to put her right here on the palm of our hand and say, I see you and I hear you. And I know that what you're doing is really trying to just protect me from, feeling pain, but I don't need protection anymore. I can actually be present, just take the very next step of, what's along my journey. I don't need to try to predict or script or control or prevent the failure or the setback, the things not working out, because I can handle that if and when it comes.
Yeah. Go on.
I want to say one more thing.
Good.
I forgot to say one more thing about that, because this, I think, is also really important. I think that trusting the universe is so important.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that what holds people back is when we forget to trust that there is a loving universe, God, source, energy, whatever, that is for us. And so even the times where it feels like things aren't working out, right? It's always working out, because the times of pain are the very thing that's going to catapult us to the next level of our growth and awareness.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's when we get to go back into the cocoon and become the next version of the butterfly.
Yes. So why
And
do we try to avoid
yeah,
the pain, right? Yeah.
yeah, it's that fear, isn't it? That fear and not trusting the universe. And then
Yeah.
even I noticed this in myself actually, and I wonder if anyone else can resonate, is that even though I know that I'm trusting the universe, because the universe, especially since I've been conscious of my patterns, of my beliefs, of how I'm choosing to live my life, even though I'm trusting the universe, and it's always worked in my favor eventually, once I've been in the cocoon, the inner critic still gets hold of it. And
Yes.
she still says, that went wrong. You didn't trust enough. You created that with your mind. That, you didn't trust, you didn't let go, you didn't surrender. The
Yeah.
inner critic, she still gets hold of you.
Well, here's the thing. Your inner critic makes you believe that there's something wrong with that.
Yeah.
So what I always say is that our pain has to push us until our vision pulls us. So when we don't surrender and we don't trust and we get back into the worst versions of ourselves, right? That's powerful. That's
Yeah.
equally as powerful, because it's funny. I just before I was on with you, I was on with this client of mine, and I was telling him the same thing, right? He was so upset with himself for losing himself. And I said, it's in the losing of yourself that has you regain that different, right? That
Mm.
rewired mind with much more power. We've just got to trust that we're going to lose ourselves.
Yeah.
We're going to go back into the goo, and there's nothing wrong with that. And if your inner critic says there's something wrong with that, eh,
Yeah.
that's that's that doesn't make it true.
No, and that's where the suffering comes in.
Yes.
Is it the Dalai Lama said, pain is inevitable, suffering is optional. We
That's
get attached. The pain, the challenges are always going to come. That's why we're here. We're not here for an easy ride. We're here to learn. We're here to grow. We're here to go through the metamorphosis.
yes.
But the suffering is when we get attached to things being right or wrong, good or bad.
That's right. That's right. So as long as we keep our eye on the vision that we have for
Yeah.
ourselves and the life that we're designing,
Yeah.
really the thing is that we're making those choices from that future vision, we're
Yeah.
making them now.
Yeah.
So everything moving forward in our life only gets created from right now.
Mm-hmm.
And anytime we jump to, "Oh, how's this going to go? How's this going to be?" Right? We jump to the future or we jump to the past. I can't believe I got caught in my fear and doubt. I wasn't awake enough. And
Mm,
all our inner critic.
yeah. So the vision then, because it's hold the vision, trust the process is one of the go-to phrase and saying, isn't it, in this world? Hold the vision, trust the process.
Right.
How do people come to formulate that vision from a place that's not run by the inner critic?
Yeah. Okay. That's a great question. So this is kind of probably uh unpopular advice, okay?
Go for it.
Or maybe uncommon advice, all right, for creating your future self. But your future self doesn't really come from mapping out your path. It doesn't
Mm,
come from knowing the next step to take. It actually comes from becoming right now the healthiest, happiest, most healed, most present, most confident version of yourself right now, right? It comes from owning all of the parts of you, not just your gifts and your strengths, right? But also your faults and your flaws and your mistakes and finding acceptance and contentment for all of who you are so that you're not so easily moved or swayed by your success or your failure. You're kind of just being right here, right now. Okay. That's living in your true authentic self, right? Just being right here, right now, learning to shed the parts of yourself that you once needed to
mm,
survive emotionally, and they're now just bankrupt. Okay. Like the people pleaser or the overachiever or the woman who couldn't let anyone down or the one that needs everyone to see her as smart or accomplished or successful. Right. So when you are able to just become the healthiest version of you, what happens is that the right path forward reveals itself to you.
oh, yeah. Sorry, I
Was I
think we
frozen?
froze there. But yeah, so the right path reveals itself to you when you're
Yeah,
being here, you authentically in the now.
that's right.
Yeah, it's as easy
We
as
don't,
that, folks.
it really is. It really is that easy, but we make it complicated because
Yeah,
our inner critic whips us into that,
yeah.
you know, future, wants us to know how to control it all.
Yeah, and I think as well, we live in a time where social media is huge and, the law of attraction and manifestation has a big platform on social media and YouTube. And, you're told from a 10-minute YouTube video that you can have the life that you want, that includes the yachts and the mansion and the 10 million pound bank account or whatever.
Yes.
And then so that's what becomes somebody's vision board.
Of course.
And then what happens?
Of course. And the thing is, it's not wrong to try and go for those things,
No.
but you might get those things and you might not. So, what about being so grateful for the abundant life that you're living right now, right? Such that you can go for all those things, but if you never get it, it doesn't really matter because you're so present to being so proud of yourself for how far you've come, for all the challenges that you've already had to overcome, for all of the things that you've already created. Because here's the interesting thing. If you look at your life right now, there are parts of your life right now that at one time were lived in your imagination.
Yeah.
And you created you took it from your imagination, from a concept or an idea to a reality, right? Maybe you're a mother and you dreamed of becoming a mother. Look, here you are, a mother. You dreamed of becoming a coach. Oh my God, you're a coach. Like, it's really extraordinary what we've already created. But again, when we're stuck in that automatic mind, we just keep looking at what's next, what's next, what's next. And it
Yeah.
robs of really being in such awe and gratitude for, I feel like one of the wealthiest people alive. And it's not because I have a yacht and millions of dollars in the bank, but it's because of what I've already created. And
Yeah.
I lose sight of that.
Hmm.
Returning ourselves to the abundance that's right in front of us, that's a very different life.
It is a very different life. I completely agree.
Yeah.
Coming from a woman who, because I started this at quite a young age compared to a lot as well, so maybe 24, but I started in the law of attraction world. So, and what happened on my journey was that I thought I needed all of these things to be worthy, and so that was what was running the actions and the decisions, and that was where it was. So even though I had so much, I couldn't see that, and it took me losing a lot of it for me to be able to
Yeah.
actually create the most abundant life that I feel I possibly could. And I have that gratitude every single day. Like you, I feel like the wealthiest person I know.
So that what you just said, that you have gratitude for losing it all,
Mm,
that's what makes you
yeah.
abundantly wealthy, because you have that perspective where you can see that that's what you needed to go through to get you to be here now and to really experience being so deeply fulfilled in exactly where you
Mm,
are right. And
yeah.
not that you're not reaching for more. I'm reaching for more. You're reaching for more. We're always reaching for more. But reaching for more from the place of feeling so full and so fulfilled and so present to gratitude and abundance is very different than reaching for more from a place of lack and scarcity and not enough, and I've got to prove my value and prove my worth and I've got to get there.
Yep. 100%. I'm smiling because I've just recorded a video on this.
Why we speak the same language. Yes.
Exactly, because it is just so powerful, and this is how this is how you become this is how you connect to your power, by
Yeah.
recognizing that.
Yes.
So when people get stuck in the automatic mind, do you have
Yeah.
a simple process that they can come back to remember their power, to remember their authentic self?
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, I can give you the high level of the mind method. Okay.
Yeah.
So the M is meet your inner critic. And that is where you really, again, you're not even changing your old mind. You're just observing all the old thoughts and the old beliefs that have kept you repeating the same emotions, right?
Mm,
So the M step leads to the I step, which is to investigate the indication signs. I call
mm,
those the blinking red lights that alert you that your inner critic has taken hold of your, of your head again, right? So the indication signs are the emotions, the body sensations, and the behaviors
mm,
that you engage in when you're in your automatic mind, right? So it could be like, getting short with your kids, or getting frustrated with your husband, or, sometimes eating too much, drinking too much, different things that we do
mm,
uh, when we're stuck in that automatic mind.
mhm,
The end step, and this is the really powerful step, the end step is neutralize the never-ending message.
mm,
So essentially what that means is our inner critic self began way before 10 years old. Okay. So it doesn't even have to be something traumatic, right? I know, somebody in my current Mastering Your Mind program, her never-ending message started when her mother gave her brother the last stick of gum, right?
yeah.
Could be something really simple, but it's in our child's mind. We mistook something that happened where all of a sudden we felt in some way that there was something that was not okay with us,
Mm,
right? That's because children, everything in a child's mind is, right, self-focused. That's just how children are. So when we're young, we jump to a lot of conclusions that we don't even recognize we've jumped to. We've formed a lot of opinions about who we are and who we're not, and how the world works. And our inner critic is formed in that moment because really what we say, again, very unconsciously, is I never want to feel that experience again. I never want to feel that shame, that guilt, that feeling that in some way I'm not okay. So who I need to become
mm,
to make sure that doesn't happen. I need to become the smart one, the people pleaser, the overachiever, the perfectionist. So when you really see that every time you're struggling, and it could be anything that's going on in your current life, the root of that always goes back to that never ending message. And when you can see that you're never reacting to the circumstances themselves, you're
mhm,
really reacting to what is deeply like hidden underneath the circumstance. When you can clearly see the never ending message and see that it shows up in every facet of your life, that's freedom.
mhm,
Because it's like you now can put your inner critic right here using the M and the I and the N. Oh, yep, there are her automatic beliefs and thoughts. There are her emotions she whips up, the body sensations. Oh, yep, those are the behaviors. There's that never-ending message. And then the D step is design your life. So essentially, designing your life is about moment by moment by moment by moment, glimpse by glimpse by glimpse by glimpse, unhooking yourself from your automatic inner critic mind and your automatic inner critic self, and tuning yourself into very different thoughts and beliefs about this
mm,
circumstance that's right in front of you, that has you experiencing different emotions, that has you making different choices and taking different actions, that has your life going in a different direction. And this shows up, our never-ending message shows up in our business. It shows up in our deepest relationships, right?
mhm.
The most intimate relationships. It shows up in our
Oh,
relationship with our,
yeah.
oh yeah, our parents. I mean, everywhere.
Mm,
So the more that you practice it, the more that you keep seeing the never-ending message. And that's what alchemizes it.
mhm,
That's what actually, when you can lean into your shame, into your fear, into your distrust of the universe, and use that pain as your greatest opportunity for growth. Again, game changer of a life. My life, everything that I'm doing in my life right now, my marriage of 27 years, my professional life, my relationship with my 3 children, my relationship with myself is 100% a result of practicing the mind method ongoingly and
Mm,
continuing to see that never-ending message show up over and over and over and over and over again, so that I could have more and more and more opportunity to disintegrate from it and to step into who I really am, which
yeah,
is my authentic self.
amazing.
Yeah.
Incredible. And I think that it's such a powerful, how you've broken it down is very simple and
Yeah.
very powerful,
Thank
because it
you.
makes the second we think that something's too complicated, that what I would call the ego, that it goes, no, too much, don't want to step outside my comfort zone too much,
Yes.
because it's going to be painful, it's going to lie, it's going to be a lot of work, I'm going to have to, but actually it's just choosing again.
Yes. Yep.
Amazing. Thank you for breaking that down for us. And
Absolutely.
thank you so much for this conversation. This has been brilliant. We could probably have this conversation for much, much longer, but I want to respect your time.
Thank you.
Can you leave our listeners with one more piece of advice when it comes to becoming their most authentic self? Is there something that sticks out to you?
Um, I would say there is really no becoming your authentic self, right? It is an ongoing dance of remember, forget, remember,
Mm,
forget, remember, forget, remember, forget, ever and ever and ever and ever. Okay. So we we need to embrace all of it. We need to
yeah,
embrace that we're going to go back to our inner critic selves over and over and over again. And it's all part of the movie. Just let the movie unfold and just keep tuning into that vision of who you want to become and the life that you want, and let it happen from this very moment.
yeah. I love that. Very powerful. Thank you very much.
Thank you. What a great honor to be here.
For anybody who would like to learn more about how to dethrone your inner critic, go and check out Joanna's book, and all of her content. You have an amazing podcast. Where else
Yeah.
can people find you?
Yeah, I mean, it's all under Dethroning Your Inner Critic. So that's my website, that's my podcast, that's my book, Dethroning Your Inner Critic. And I always love connecting with people. If you want to hear more about my Mastering Your Mind program or my certification program, just go to my website and let's connect.
Amazing. Thank you so much for being here and having this conversation with me.
Thank you, Rosanna. It was really my pleasure.